Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Well, my goodness, if you have been paying attention to the latest rumblings in Port Charles, you know that things are getting more tangled than a ball of yarn in a basket of kittens. We have a brand new face in town, and let me tell you, this man has brought a whole storm cloud of questions with him. His name is Hudson Parker, and he is walking around with the kind of shady businessman energy that just makes the hair on the back of your neck stand right up. Naturally, everybody is whispering and wondering about how he might be connected to our sweet little Phoebe. It is the kind of mystery that just pulls at your heartstrings, especially when a precious child is involved. Now, we all saw what happened at the Metro Court pool, and I have to say it was enough to make my heart skip a beat. Ethan Lovett was just going about his business when he laid eyes on Hudson, and the sheer panic that washed over Ethan's face was plain as day. Ethan is usually such a cool customer, a man who knows how to handle himself in a tight spot, but the moment he spotted Hudson, he looked like he had seen a ghost. He realized right then and there that he had been followed all the way to Port Charles. You could just feel the desperation radiating from him. He knew he had to pack up and run for the hills before things got completely out of hand. I must admit, seeing Ethan so spooked really makes you stop and think about the kind of danger that is brewing just beneath the surface. When a man like Ethan decides to drop everything and flee the country, you know, the threat is as real as it gets. He did not even waste time packing a proper bag. He just knew he had to put as much distance between himself and Hudson as humanly possible. But bless his heart, he did not leave without making sure his tracks were covered. He went straight to Lulu Spencer, knowing she is one of the few people in this world he can trust with his life. Lulu, being the fierce and loyal friend that she is, stepped right up to the plate without missing a beat. When Hudson came sniffing around, looking for answers, Lulu looked that man dead in the eye and told him Ethan had left the country. She did not flinch, she did not waver, and she made it perfectly clear that she had absolutely no idea where Ethan was headed next. It is always so wonderful to see that kind of deep, unconditional loyalty on our screens. Lulu stood her ground like a mama bear protecting her cub, and you could see the sheer disappointment wash over Hudson's face when he realized he had hit a brick wall. But this whole situation just leaves us scratching our heads and wondering what the real story is here. Why is Hudson so desperate to find Ethan? We all know that Ethan has a bit of a colorful past, and he recently got himself tangled up in a job that went completely sour. So it is entirely possible that Hudson is just a man looking for payback. Maybe Ethan owes the wrong people a lot of money, or maybe he made a promise he could not keep. If Hudson is just a debt collector or a man seeking revenge for a botched job, that would explain the chase. But in Port Charles, things are rarely ever that simple, are they? The biggest question on everyone's mind, and the one that really tugs at a grandmother's heart, is about little Phoebe. We already learned the hard way that Ethan is not her biological father. That was a twist that left us all reeling. So, naturally, the moment this mysterious Hudson shows up, our minds jump straight to the idea that maybe, just maybe, he is the real father. It makes sense on the surface, does it not? A strange man comes to town tracking down the man who was protecting the child. You cannot blame folks for putting two and two together and coming up with Hudson as the daddy. However, we need to hold our horses and look at the bigger picture before we jump to any conclusions. We have been watching these stories unfold for years, and we know how sneaky the writers can be. Ethan turned out to be a massive red herring, a distraction to keep us guessing. What if Hudson is just another piece of the puzzle meant to throw us off the scent? It would not be the first time we were led down the garden path, only to find out the real truth was hiding somewhere else entirely. I strongly believe that Hudson might just be another clever distraction before they hit us with the real, shocking truth. Let us sit a spell and think about the most important clue we have in this whole messy situation. Think back to the DNA test. The sample that Ethan used to run that paternity test did not just come from anywhere. It was pulled straight out of an unsolved cold case file down at the Port Charles Police Department. Now, that is a detail you simply cannot ignore. If the real father's DNA is sitting in a police box for a crime committed right here in Port Charles years ago, that changes the entire game. It means the real father has deep, dark roots in our town. This brings us right back to Hudson and something very interesting he let slip at the Metro Court. While he was poking around the pool, he mentioned to the attendant that it was his very first time visiting the hotel. If we take him at his word, it seems like Hudson is genuinely brand new to Port Charles. Now, let us use our common sense here. If Hudson has never been to town before, how on earth could his DNA be sitting in an old dusty cold case file at the local police station? The math simply does not add up, my friends. It points away from Hudson being the father. If Hudson is not the biological father, then what in the world is his role in all of this? Well, my theory is that he is working for the man who actually is. Hudson strikes me as a hired gun, a man who does the dirty work for someone with much deeper pockets and much darker secrets. The real father, the man tied to that unsolved police case, is probably sitting back in the shadows, pulling the strings like a puppet master. He sent Hudson to do the heavy lifting, to track down Ethan, and to find out what happened to his childling. It is a chilling thought, thinking about a hidden villain watching our favorite characters from afar. And that brings us back to poor Ethan and the heavy burden he is carrying. When he was talking to Lulu, he seemed so torn up inside. He hinted that running away was the only way he could keep a very important promise. We know that Ethan swore up and down that he would keep little Phoebe safe from harm. As much as it must have broken his heart to leave, he knew that staying in town would only put a target on that sweet girl's back. If he stayed, Hudson would just keep digging, and eventually he would piece the whole story together. Ethan made a noble sacrifice, running away so the danger would follow him and leave Phoebe in peace. But here's the terrifying part that keeps me up at night. Hudson is still here. Even with Ethan out of the picture, Hudson is still sniffing around Port Charles like a hound dog on a scent. Whether he is the father or just a hired thug, he is a dangerous man looking for answers. He does not need Ethan to be in town to start putting the puzzle pieces together. The clues are all still there, just waiting to be found. It is a very scary situation, and you cannot help but worry for the safety of everyone involved, especially the innocent ones who have no idea what is coming their way. The most fragile piece of this entire puzzle is Delilah Wilson. She is Phoebe's biological mother, and right now, she is the key to this whole mystery. If Hudson manages to figure out that Delilah is the mother, it is going to blow this entire situation wide open. Imagine the shock, the absolute earthquake it would cause if Hudson realizes who Delilah is and what she has been hiding. It would be a realization that could change everything for everyone. The thought of that dangerous man getting close to a mother and her child just makes my blood run cold. As women who have raised families and loved our children fiercely, we know that there is nothing more important than protecting the innocent. Little Phoebe is just a pawn in a very dangerous game played by grown men with dark pasts. It breaks your heart to see a child caught up in the middle of mobsters, secret identities, and hired thugs. You just want to reach through the television screen, scoop that baby up, and keep her safe from all the bad things in the world. We can only hope and pray that the good folks in Port Charles figure out a way to shield her from the storm that is clearly brewing on the horizon. Looking ahead, it is clear as day that we are in for a bumpy ride. The news and rumors spreading around town promise that there are going to be even more shocking surprises regarding Phoebe's true parentage. Whether Hudson turns out to be the father, which I highly doubt, or whether he leads us straight to a massive historical villain from the show's past, we are going to be glued to our seats. It is stories like this, full of heart, mystery, and family drama that keep us coming back day after day. We will just have to hold on tight, trust that the truth will eventually come to the light, and look forward to sharing every single gasp and tear with all of you.